Welcome to the podcast recording of Middle East AI News Live for Thursday, February 15th, 2024, brought to you by Carrington Malin, Marketing for an AI-First World. You're listening to my discussion with Avneesh Prakash, founder and CEO of Dubai-based Camb AI, where we talk about the massive potential of the AI voice dubbing market, the startup's fast-growing AI dubbing platform, and Camb AI's $4 million seed funding round.
So let's get started and dive into today's topic. And today's Thursday deep dive, we're going to be talking about live video voice dubbing using AI, the success story of startup Camb AI, and how the AI video dubbing platform was built. We're going to touch on how Camb AI got started, how big is the video dubbing market anyway, and the 4 million seed funding round that was announced earlier this month, and also to find out more about Dub Studio, the company's real-time voice dubbing platform. And I hope, if we have time, some more about Camb AI's future plans. I'm going to be joined by Avneesh Prakash, CEO of Camb AI. Avneesh has a long track record in technology and digital innovation and scaling global businesses going back more than 25 years. And over his career, he's helped businesses scale, working across Asia, Europe, North America, and the Middle East. He's also experienced digital evangelist and enabler, helping business and government entities address issues such as digital identity, biometric ID, payments, financial inclusion, advanced mobility, and digital media, all which I'm sure will stand him in good stead in running Camb AI. Until last summer, he was the vice president of mobility at Tata Communications, where he was responsible for driving innovation strategy to advance and develop the company's mobility platform. And he left Tata and started working on the new startup, now known as Camb AI. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So a very warm welcome to Avneesh Prakash. Great to have you on the show, Avneesh.
Well, good afternoon, Carrington. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Such a great pleasure. Good afternoon to all the guests. And thanks for the kind words, Carrington.
Great to have you here to talk about Camb AI and all the things related to that. It's a great startup story, and it's also tackling a massive need that live media producers have with AI. This is technology that can actually transform the industry. So it'll be great to start off talking about how Camb AI came about, what seeded this idea, and how did you come about using AI and realizing how you're going to create a solution?
Absolutely. So, Carrington, I think we were driven by a very simple philosophy. The internet was created for English speakers, and we wanted to redesign it for the world. The internet here be more synonymous with the digital content. We know that nearly 80% of the content, digital content, is videos. It's predominantly in English, and less than 20% people speak that language. Personally, I grew up in cultures and societies in regions where English was not the primary language, right? And we were right from entertainment, where we had access to poorly dubbed content. We realized that it was not just poor content. In many cases, it just meant complete exclusion to many of the global opportunities for us. And you mentioned an interesting fact. I co-founded the company with my son. We were both working on this. 26 years apart, we hadn't seen any change in this, the state of the translation and localization. So what we did was we brought together my co-founders' years of research in generative AI and speech technologies while he was at Carnegie Mellon University in the US, and his own experience of working on something very similar to ChatGPT while at Apple. And we brought it together with my experiences of working across digital media, global businesses, put it together along with our founding team with deep insights into media, entertainment, and sports. And the combination of that, all of that is Camb AI today, which is a generative AI dubbing platform.
Wow. And this all happened relatively quickly last year, right?
Well, yeah. So we formalized the company about last year, but obviously, the technology on which the product is built has been researched for well over 6 years by my co-founder and his team, which we brought together back again. Yeah.
And this was, of course, during the massive year of hype that last year was, with ChatGPT kicking it off at the end of 2022, and really the whole year being about generative AI. Did you or the team have concerns about the maturity of generative AI and whether it was going to cut it for this use case?
No, I mean, there are two things what one can be concerned about. Having researched quite deeply in this entire area, and not just generative AI, but more specifically in speech technologies, we were quite convinced about the maturity that we had on the technology, the use cases that we were applying it to. So, from an applicability perspective, looking at looking at our own experiences, our experiences in the sectors we're trying to address, looking at the maturity of the technology, I don't think we had any doubts on the applicability or the potential adoption of the technology. And of course, on the overall generative AI, if the question is related to whether we had concerns about generative AI in general, of course not. I mean, I would have been as concerned about generative AI as I was of the mobile technology when mobile phones were launched. So nothing more, nothing less than that, really. Yeah.
Yes, we do tend to forget about that.
Yeah.
So did you zoom in immediately on instant translation and live video, or was that part of a process that took some time to find and identify that use case?
So I think a little bit of a personal background helped. I worked at one of the largest broadcasters out of India, Z Network, and this is something that we experienced quite heavily, right? We would produce the content in one language, it would be repurposed into multiple languages because we had a number of regional channels. Entertainment, quite, it's probably one of the first obvious choices. We knew how important it was to look at efficiencies, quality, and the realism that we could deliver from our platform. So, I mean, we zoned in on the use cases, but really cognizant of what the market needed, to be very close to what the customers were telling us or the potential customers are telling us. And we are very to that religion. We've stayed very, very close to the market, hearing our customers and really making sure that we are iterating the technology and we are delivering something that brings value to our customers. Yeah.
I believe that you were based in Dubai before, so locating your startup in Dubai was probably a natural thing for you to think about.
Well, I moved to Dubai several years back, having worked across multiple countries. And it just seemed, you mentioned about my past experience of running global businesses, just seemed like the right place to run a global business from, really friendly environment and globally accessible at the same time. Dubai is a great ecosystem of startups. It's the top leadership vision, availability of finance, a very, very carefully crafted ecosystem that helps you, which helps innovation to happen, really. One of the best things that really happened to us, Dubai Future District Fund's involvement with Camb AI. They were an early investor, right? And that kind of is kind of a mirror, or is kind of representative of what the region brings to a new startup. Tremendous infrastructure support, tremendous mentoring and guidance, really. So I think Dubai was a good choice. Yeah.
And what would you say was the most difficult thing about starting this up in Dubai?
I would say none, actually, really.
Oh, really?
Because, yeah, it's again no different than starting any startup in any part of the world. I think it's very important. I mean, the basics stay the same. You got to understand the market, you got to understand what you bring to the market and stay very focused, right? And rather than a challenge, I would say that the ecosystem really helped us to really focus on what we're trying to achieve, while a number of things were taken care of by our investors and by our mentors here. So I would say it was a good start for us, not just the investment and the partnership with Dubai Future District Fund. We're part of Dubai Future Accelerators, a very unique program. I mean, the cohort actually allowed us to work on real use cases with government entities. I mean, it's a very unique accelerator program, right? Which allowed us to work on real world problems and actually take it to real customers. So yeah, it's been a fantastic journey for us in Dubai.
It certainly sounds like it. And it works very well for you as a global base because you already have global customers around the world.
Absolutely. So Dubai is, first of all, the MENA region itself is a big market for us, right? It's a big market from two perspectives: from the aspirational, the regional creators who want to go global, right? And also from a consumption perspective, right? The region is a good consumption bed for global content. So it's a great market for us. And it helps us to run the business from here. We are a global business at this stage with customers on both sides of UAE, investors on both sides of UAE, or all sides of UAE, I would say. So it helps. I mean, we feel like at the center of the earth. I mean, from an application perspective and from a geographical perspective.
And this is, as I mentioned before, quite a big market. And there's a global opportunity there. And this is a market that's still growing. And obviously, platforms like this are only going to fuel demand for more dubbing, video dubbing, and particularly live video dubbing. Any thoughts on the side, trying to quantify that and describe what that market is?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said it right, Carrington, on the size of the market just for the movie industry, right? I'll just add on to that a little bit. If you look at the translation and the localization market, I think it's estimated to be well over $50 billion, right? And it has existed for some time. If you look at what the industry, just the entertainment industry, spends on dubbing alone, it's to the tune of $4.5 to $5 billion, and it is growing, right? Now that's classical content, studios, movies, etc. When you add the individual creator segment to it, which is like an ever growing and a very fast paced growing segment, the number just goes tremendously higher. Actually, I mean, if we look at it, there are probably about 50 million individual creators, if not more, and that community is growing. The content is being produced at a very fast pace. And there is definitely, I mean, the market tells us that there's a definite aspiration on part of several of the creators, not necessarily just the top 1% or the top 5%, but, right from mega to macro to micro influencers who want to go beyond the boundaries that they thought they'd set for themselves from a language perspective. So it is a pretty huge market just in the entertainment sector.
Right. So we'll go into some more details and features of the product in a few minutes. But this is, just to make it clear, this is a product that could be used by a global broadcaster, or it could also be used by an independent content creator.
Absolutely. I mean, it serves the needs of enterprises as well as individual creators. Without losing focus, I can say that, a lot of the individual creators, probably one in every two, is a creator of some content. All enterprises are content creators at this stage, not necessarily the studios. But yeah, it's a product, it's a platform served as SaaS, which is just as applicable to an enterprise, a studio, a production house, as it is for individual creators. And it's easy to use for all of them, right?
There's obviously other segments out there that this is applicable for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I mean,
education is one that springs to mind, but I'm sure there's many others there as well. Is it a competitive space?
Well, the demand is so big, and we're just barely scraping the surface. If you look at it, I'm very certain this will become a very, very interesting space. And I think what will drive success in this space is to have your own core technology to really solve the real problem, because the content is going to be a bit nuanced from one area to another, right? And you mentioned education, right? I mean, the content in education has a certain nuance. It's all about the subject matter, not necessarily about the theatrics. Yeah, I mean, when you have a lecture being delivered, it's about the subject matter. It's not the dramatics around it. I mean, no offense, but when you watch a movie, yeah, it's all about theatrics and it's all about drama, very high quality emotions, and so on and so forth. And that's where the joy lies, right? Are you able to serve the nuances and take care of the nuances of the different types of content? Yeah. So obviously the landscape is very huge. I particularly see that there will be new and renewed interest in this area. And certainly, AI will play a significant role.
Yes, lots of opportunity, and good to hear that you're busy. So you mentioned technology. What came first, the platform or the technology? Was it the platform you tried to build and then discovered that you needed to build the technology for it as well? Or did you always know that you needed to start with the core technology to begin with?
Yeah, I think we needed core technology, and the advantage we had was years of research that we had already put into this entire area, right? So yeah, the core technology was built, and yeah, we for the lack of a better word, we platformized it, and so that the product came on top of the technology.
And the product's called Dub Studio.
Yes.
And it's a real time platform. I think on your website it says within under 3 seconds that it will overdub in a new language.
So, yeah, just a quick one on Dub Studio. Dub Studio is the flagship product. It's a SaaS platform. Now, what it does is a few things. It obviously, the first part of any dubbing is really to be able to translate what you're trying to dub, right? And that's where we found a significant gap. So we're able to do colloquial and contextual translation, preserving the meaning of the original content, and that's where that's the first joy, and that's the first problem solved. Once you're able to do that, it's about rendering, and we're able to render it in multiple different ways. Our speech technologies are now advanced enough to take a very, very short reference of the original speaker, less than 3 seconds, and we're able to, take that voice imprint into multiple languages. Right? But we do a number of other things so that what you get as a final product is a fully packaged, performance and giving you a level of realism as if the content was created in the target language. So that's really that has been our goal, that has been our objective, and that's what we are bringing to the market. Yeah.
And I'm right in saying the original voice performance, when that is overdubbed, you're listening to that same voice in a different language.
Absolutely. In the next podcast that you do, we can make you speak as in any language that you want to. And we do some really low resource languages, not just high resource languages, but by that I mean languages which do not have as much of a digital footprint. So we do languages like Afrikaans or Swahili or Icelandic. So yeah, I mean you can take a pick next podcast.
Yeah, that sounds a lot of fun. So then let's talk about the products then. So Dub Studio is the flagship product. Describe what your offering is overall then as Camb AI.
So what we deliver to our customers is a simple platform which they can operate by themselves, and they need to have a piece of content that they want to transform. They should know which languages they want to go to, and it's a platform where they literally can take the original piece of performance, whether it's video or audio, and turn it into multiple languages in parallel. And that's what really the platform is, as simple as that. It's an automated process, but we also offer a man in the middle or human agency. If somebody wanted to look at the production, refine it, then there is a fairly easy to use editor workbench really. And it's as simple as that. You bring your video, you bring your audio, convert it really, and take the final asset. What you bring belongs to you. What you convert belongs to you.
And could you give us a couple of examples of how this has worked in action and what media are using this for, what languages?
Yeah, I mean, the languages are very varied, Carrington. People use a variety of different languages. We started off by creating a piece of technology. I mean, as I said in the preface, we started by trying to democratize the content, going from English to other languages. But now we enable multiple or any pair of languages really. So let's say you're an individual creator, you have a piece of content that you created in English language. You can bring that to the platform and you choose the languages. And people use really a variety of different languages, French, Spanish, German, but not only that, a number of Southeast Asian languages or Arabic, so it gives a variety of choices to our customers, over 100 languages on the platform available. So, you could just, as a YouTuber, for example, you could upload your content and convert it in multiple languages and take it away. I mean, the use cases for a large studio could be different, right? Because the kind of content they bring is of a different nature, but the process pretty much remains the same. What we do, as I mentioned on the platform, is we pay a lot of attention to the quality and the meaning of the content and the fact that we're able to convert and transfer over the meaning, right? So that's something that our customers love. We're able to preserve the original voice of the speakers and take it into multiple languages, not just of a speaker, but multiple speakers. And, real world content is rarely one or two people speaking, it's multiple people. So that's something that's a given. We are able to preserve, the ambient noise, the ambient sound, etc., so that we are able to carry forward all the artifacts of the original production.
And one of your clients I see is Tennis Australia.
Yep. Yes. Very excited, and it was a fun thing, a fun project for us. At the Australian Open, we made a number of athletes, a number of tennis players speak in multiple languages. So when you hear a Djokovic speak in his own voice in Spanish, I mean, it looks a bit surreal, but that's a great fan connect. I mean, personally, I've got a number of inbounds. I'm not Djokovic, but they really loved the fact that their own most favorite athlete or player was speaking in a language that they preferred. And that's what really is the theme of it, really, if you look at it, Carrington. What we're trying to do is carrying forward two objectives, right? We want to empower all content creators or content owners or rights owners the ability to go beyond languages and to take their stories beyond geographical, for sure, and language barriers, right? Just to empower them. On the other hand, a natural outcome of that is really we're making the choice of language something which is normal, very, very expected, and not a matter of privilege for any consumer. And all this put together really means that the quality of consumption goes up really tremendously. Connectedness improves, and when the quality of consumption goes up, it has a direct impact on the quantity of consumption, and when that happens, commerce is just a natural outcome of this process. Really.
This is not restricted in any way to just live video, is it?
We do archived content, VOD content, and of course, live content. Extremely proud to have worked with Naila Al Khaja. She is the first Emirati film director and producer. And I mean, I'll tell you, the new release of the movie 3, it's an exceptional film. I think it's a must-watch for everybody. One of the best made movies that I've watched in recent times. And we're very proud to have worked with her to dub the movie into multiple languages, and it was premiered at the Red Sea Film Festival. So yeah, I mean that's one dimension of the work that we do.
Fantastic. Avneesh, let's perhaps look at the future a little bit. Where do you see this technology going, and the impact you think it's going to have on the market? Because in my mind, this is surely going to drive more overdubbing. It's not going to replace traditional means. It's actually going to accelerate the requirement for this.
I think that's pretty much the view that we carry. A few things actually on that, Carrington. The global content is exploding, right? And so is the hunger for cross-border and cross-lingual, content. I mean, the K-drama, has tremendous views in, say, for example, in the United States. So, the pace at which the demand for content is growing, a manual dubbing capacity, which has been the traditional solution, will not scale to that level. So it's not about being an alternative. It's about being an additive to the existing mechanism and structures, right? And that's going to do a few things to, let's say, just for the world of entertainment, right? As you see more content finding its way, cross-culturally or cross-lingually, I think one of the biggest impacts it is going to have on content in general is on the quality of the content, right? It's on new types of content. I mean, just imagine the most impactful stories that I heard in my life 50 years back were from my grandmother. I would love to hear stories from, other parts of the world, other cultures, of what are those stories, right? When they come together, when they mix, I think we're going to see some very impactful and new types of content. So I think it'll drive up the quality of the content even further, and it'll give choices to the consumers.
Yes, definitely. And do you think this is going to have a big impact on media in developing markets?
Yes.
Because obviously you've got Hollywood and Bollywood are world-renowned and have the momentum and the talent and the distribution behind them. But is this a way for less-known production centers to make more of their content?
I think it'll not just the developing countries, even the developed countries. It's a huge tool for them. When you mentioned Hollywood and the Bollywood movies, the movies there are still not as proliferated around the world as they can be. Right? I mean, and if they are, then it's a post-production activity, right? So there's a lag between when a movie is released in US versus the same movie getting released in a different language in a different part of the world, some parts of the world, right? So that obviously adds, and it's something of this nature, which is fast paced, gives the efficiency, or gives speed of execution, really drives even the most mature content creator markets, right? Like the Hollywood or the Bollywood. Right? I still don't see enough Bollywood in other languages, so it can give a huge fill up to them. But equally importantly, the developing hubs of content can, of course, accelerate, and content being created in regional languages can really find its way into territories where it hasn't been. I mean, if you look at the drama content within the larger Middle Eastern region, it's one of the best qualities, right? It can find its way across the world. So there are many possibilities that begin to emerge, right?
Wow. So this not only enables developing markets, but actually helps the big box office hits make even more money in more places.
Yes. In money terms, yes.
Wow, exciting business. And do you have plans to expand into other parts of the world? Is it necessary that you'll open offices in Hollywood, for example, or?
Yeah, we are expanding now globally. So yeah, definitely have plans to expand globally, be in multiple different markets. We're already working across many of the markets, and the plan is to expand even further and deepen our presence in these markets for sure.
Is that something that you've got on the list for this year? And
Yes.
what
Yes.
will you do with all of that money?
you know, Sorry, but yeah. Well, so yeah, the money will go into continuous development of the tech for sure, and a global expansion. So one thing that's very important to understand and to recognize is that it's very important to be with the customers, right? Not just reach them, but also serve them well. I think there's no business that survives without superlative customer service, and we obsess over that, right? So it's about expanding to reach the customers and expanding to serve them, and that's where the money will go, into our tech, into expanding globally, and into serving our customers.
Have you got a longer term view of where might this all end up?
Well, we do have a long-term vision. I would like CAM to be the force which will empower every creator in the world to bring their stories to everyone else in the world. And as I said, we're really driven to make alternate language selection a reality for consumers. It should be just a matter of choice, not a matter of privilege. And we're very true to that vision. We are moving forward. Of course, we have other markers of success of how we want to expand across the world. But yeah, that's the vision, and that's the objective with which we are moving forward for sure.
So you're making it easier to dub in different languages. You're making it practical to dub in live video. If I'm a video producer, what are my steps towards using your platform and getting started with this?
Very simple. You can come to our website, sign up for free, try it, and then stay on the platform. I'm sure you'll stay on the platform when you try it. It's really as simple as that. Come visit us on www.camb.ai. Sign up. And try it for yourselves. Really, and that's really as simple as that. Really, it's a subscription-based platform. So you use it, and you pay as you go.
So the other question I was going to ask is, how does this technically put an overdub sound on my video? Is this a soundtrack that I get, or does my video go through your platform?
So I mean, we can do just the video. You can do the video with the soundtrack, or you can just do the soundtrack with us. We package. If you give the video, we package the whole video, and you get the whole video with its artifacts. So you get a soundtrack separately as well. But you could just as well use it. Upload your audio and just convert that.
And if it's in a live scenario where I'm broadcasting live?
You could still have both the choices. It depends on how much you want to do on your end. If you want to mix yourselves or you want us to package it, we can package the whole thing, right? You can take your stream and then you can, repackage it with the new audio and then send it back to you.
Presumably there are packages for professional broadcasters that want guarantees and
Yes.
to have quality metrics and technical requirements.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But it is something, again, we mentioned this, it is something that a content creator, an independent content creator could use.
Yes.
And for the sake of argument, I could use to add voice
Absolutely.
to video content.
Yes. Absolutely.
Wow, can't wait to try it out. Before we round off today, who do you want to hear from? And have you got a message for people who want to contact you?
I think, any creator would love to, enable them. And we pride ourselves in our technology and our product. So, you love the product, you love the outreach that it brings to you. The customers who are working with us, it has given them a tremendous reach. Even the largest of the creators you mentioned about Nick Giovanni, he's converting the content into multiple different languages using our platform. So I would love to hear from the content creators, the enterprises. We obsess over our product, customer service, and we aim to delight.
Great. Thank you so much, Avneesh Prakash, for taking the time to join us on Thursday Deep Dive. Hope to catch up with you another time in the future and get an update.
Thank you so much for hosting me, Carrington, and thanks to all the guests who joined today.
Great, and all being well, this will be on podcast tomorrow morning. So
You've been listening to a recording of Middle East AI News Live for Thursday, February 15th, 2024, brought to you by Carrington Malin. Thanks for listening.